I received my results by email. When I downloaded the first and read it, I was a bit shaken, a bit incredulous. One of the first thoughts I had was, I'm going to die. Or a bit later, I can't have kids. The risk of transmission is much too high. In November 2018, I ordered on the internet from a startup a kit to sequence my genome. There are several types of genome sequencing. Mine was what we call a whole genome sequencing, which I then received in the mail with a small ready-to-use kit. The principle is quite simple. You receive a package in the mail. Just put a saliva sample in a little stabilizing solution. You send everything back by mail, and you get the results later once the lab has done the sequencing. The wait time is relatively long. I got my results in March 2019. The morning I was leaving for my honeymoon. I know that these tests are forbidden in France, and yet the idea of having my genome at my fingertips for future use, whether for philosophical or medical reasons, DIY biology has always interested me. But I didn't want to spend a fortune on this kind of kit, so I waited for a Black Friday sale and I was able to get one for 150 euros. I received my results by email. The subject of the message was, "Your results are ready," with a big exclamation mark, and I had a link to click on 2 PDFs to download. When I downloaded the first and read it, I was a bit shaken, a bit incredulous. I read it again a second time, thinking it was completely crazy. I finally finished packing my bags, and I left on my honeymoon. In the PDF file named Health and Wellness, there was a checklist of diseases and syndromes. 2 appeared to be positive. Familial adenomatous polyposis, a mutation in the APC gene that is characterized by the multiplication of polyps in the digestive system and for which there is no treatment. A very rare disease, 1 chance out of 20,000, and the only solution is the ablation of the colon. The second disease is called Li-Fraumeni syndrome. It's characterized by a mutation in the TP53 gene and multiplies your chances of having cancer. It's also a very rare disease, 1 chance out of 20,000, and most of the time, people have 1 or several cancers in their lifetime with several reoccurrences and a much shorter life expectancy. During the first few days of the holiday, it was all I could think about, with the idea hanging over my head that my life expectancy was potentially dramatically shorter than the average. I spent my time finding about the different syndromes. I had nocturnal panic attacks. I had back pain. I thought about it all the time. What's more, when I returned from my holiday, I started a new job, and it was impossible to concentrate. I wasn't listening to people, I thought about nothing else, I stopped going out or listening to anything, I was fixated on that idea. I also started looking into the reliability of genetic tests on the internet. I did find a couple of cases, like with contaminated samples or mixed up samples, that showed that they weren't 100% reliable, but it wasn't specifically my case, so it wasn't enough to reassure me. 72 hours after receiving the results, I contacted the Institut Curie via their website. Professor Stoppoli and his team got back to me, and we arranged a meeting. During the meeting, they seemed a bit skeptical. The odds of having FAP and Li-Fraumeni is around 1 in 400 million. Nevertheless, they still ordered confirmatory testing with 2 samples to prove or disprove the validity of the test. I was impatient, and the longest part was the waiting time between the sampling and the results, more than 2 months. When they arrived, they confirmed that I didn't have the most harmful mutations that had been identified. The results of the online tests were therefore false. I was obviously reassured by the results, and I greatly appreciated the support from the genetics team at the Institut Curie.